Hi everyone and welcome. Today we are going to paint our way through the small version of the calm mandala. This is one of the Otauna designs that is quite magical in that you can paint it in two different sizes depending on which set of tools you work with. If you work with the set of 7 dotting tools, you will get a piece approximately 6 inches across. If you take exactly the same steps, exactly the same process, but use our set of 8 dotting tools, you will get this small version. So it's really fun because you can just make that one alteration and you've got 2 different sizes. Today we're going to paint our way through the small version, talk about using the set of 8 dotting tools, and create the small calm mandala. So let's get started and go over what you will need to do your mandala. You are going to need a surface that is black, that is approximately 3 inches across. Make sure it is at least 3 inches across so you don't run out of room. You're going to want the center marked. It's hard to see on here, but this one is marked in the center so that I know where to start my process. You're going to need our set of 8 dotting tools. You will need a piece of paper towel. When we're finished layer 1 and layer 2, you will need a hair dryer as well to dry the dots so that you can keep on going if you're going to work all the way through the tutorial in one go. And for paints, you will need the following colors: white, ocean breeze, light ocean breeze, light purple, purple, dark purple, powder blue, pool blue, neon blue, peacock blue, and you can have some black paint if you'd like on hand in case there's any touch-ups that need to be done. If you want to have a copy of our instructions out, that can be useful if you want to follow along with the written instructions that way. So let's get started. So our tools for the set of 8 are double-ended. So just pay attention to what end you will need. We're going to work with tool 2 and white paint. We're going to be starting right out in the center of our mandala, covering up the spot that we marked for our center with tool 2 and white paint. So go ahead and join me in doing that. And as you do so, I'll explain that all of the mandalas of hope, and this particular design is used in that program. It's called the Calm design, and it has a special written description. All of the mandalas of hope all have a white center, and that is to represent for different people whatever it feels to be for them. So some people have a spiritual significance to that color in that center dot. So that is why they all appear white in that program. So let's move on to step B. For step B, you're going to need tool 7. And we're going to create our setup for an 8-point mandala with light purple paint. Now this process is going to be exactly the same as when it was on the larger scale with our set of 7 tools. You're going to be going through turning your piece at the same point of time. So let me start you off and you can follow along. We're going to put a light purple dot right at the top at the 12 o'clock position, almost touching the white paint, and then one down below it. When those 2 are done, you turn your surface. This is going to look very familiar to what we did with this set of 7 tools. It's just smaller. And you're going to repeat those 2 dots at the top and the bottom. You may feel that these smaller tools just take a little bit of adjustment to get used to as far as their placement close to the center dot. So don't worry about that as you get used to working with these smaller tools and using them for what I call the foundation dots. That will come. These are foundational dots. They're the building structure of the mandala. So I've turned my surface and I'm adding in 2 more dots, one at the top and one at the bottom. And then to complete our 8 dots to set up our structure, we turn again at the top and the bottom. So I'll give you a few seconds to catch up if you're still getting those 8 dots on, and then we'll keep on going. So let's move on to step C, where we'll again use a stylus, which is tool 5. This one's larger, and so we're using these stylus tools as these foundation dots. Instead of only decorating with them and outlining and tapering, they become the foundation of the building structure of the mandala. So as you know from using with a set of 7 dotting tools, the more paint you put on these, the larger the dot is. So just keep that in mind, that you're going to be watching that as you build a set of 8 dots in this piece, you want to use a consistent amount of paint for each one so they turn out to be the same size. So for step C, we're going to use the medium shade of purple, and we're going to be building out in alignment with what we just created. So just check that you know exactly where you're placing these dots. So you're going to see me be very careful. Even though it's tiny, I'm still taking the time to align everything with the center. And I am going to do the top and bottom just like that. Turn my piece. And I lean in. You can't see me leaning in because the camera is not showing me, but I'm leaning in so that my eye is directly level over this. It's not coming in at an angle. It's directly over top, looking down, which I find is the best for me for seeing alignment. And I'm going back in. You can see I've got a really good dollop of paint on my tool each time. To make these purple dots consistent in size. So I'll take a look. Are any a little smaller? This one's maybe a hair smaller, so I get a little more purple paint and add it on. So take a moment and get yourself a nice set of 8 medium shades of purple dots with tool 5. For step D, we'll need tool 4, same shade of purple, and we're going to build out again on this line that we have here. We're going to one more step out. And I'll tell you something funny. Sometimes I like to think about this as a snowman or a snow person, as I used to say to my students at school, because here's his base, his center, and his head. It's like 3 different size snowballs when you do this particular type of structure in the mandala. So we're building out a snowman in a straight line best as we can. Same shade of purple, and you can join me in adding these in with tool 4. Beautiful. Now for step E, you're going to need Ocean Breeze. So out of their two colors of Ocean Breeze, this one is slightly darker. It's the darkest of the two. And we're going to move away. We've been building out on one set of lines, and we're going to start to create an alternate set in between here. So just watch where I put these dots. They're going to come and nestle in here, and we want them to almost touch the purple dots we created. And so the base of it is just kind of set in there a little bit. And I'll do one completely opposite here so you can see that this is another set of lines that we're building out on. So you can join me in adding this in as soon as you've got the details sorted out and you know what you're doing. Hop on here and get these beautiful Ocean Breeze dots happening on your piece. This would be a good set, any set that's really building the foundation, and hopefully you're getting a sense of which ones are. So far, all of these have been what I would refer to as a foundation dot. It's building the piece out. Anytime you're working on that type of a step, take a moment before you move on to check for consistency of size. Are any a little smaller than the others? Because that's your one opportunity before you move on to even them out, to make any smaller ones a little bit larger by adding a little paint. For step F, we'll be using tool 6, and we're going to be placing a light Ocean Breeze dot really close to what we just created, but moving towards the center. So there is one right there. So we'll be creating dots to fill in the line moving towards the center. So keep it nice and close to the dot you just created. Jump on in here when you're ready. So as we move on to step G, we'll start using tool 7 to create progressively smaller dots, which I refer to as the taper. And so with our set of 8 tools, you're going to notice that in a design like this one, we never have an instruction saying to use tool 8. So when I designed the set, I added in this 8th tool to make really fine, precise, really teeny tiny dots. So just a note that you are welcome at any point in a design that works with both sets of tools. You could swap out if you wanted to and you've got used to the spacing and everything. You could use tool 8 if you wish to at points and at times. That would be fine. And then there are designs that have been created that only partner with this set of tools and use all of the range of dots, including tool 8. So it was made with the intention of being able to have a breadth of abilities. That's why this tool set has this extra, so to speak, in this particular piece. It's going to feel like an extra tool or an extra size. So if you wish to, for this particular step, you could use tool 8. I'm going to use tool 7 here. What we're doing is we're just going to march in with our light colored Ocean Breeze paint from there to the center. Now let me do it with tool 8 just so you can see. Because this is a tiny distance to go, I know each will be okay. So you can see tool 8 just produces a smaller version of this. You can certainly follow the instructions and be successful, or if you're used to, hey, you know what, I think I might use tool 8, I'm going to swap back to tool 7. So that's just a little note about how the tools were designed and developed and what's going on with their capabilities so that you are aware. So you can jump on in here with your light Ocean Breeze and add these beautiful dots. So you can see this isn't a foundation. This is really decorative in nature. It's certainly adds to the beauty, but it is not building out. It's not the structure that we're working with at that particular step. So anytime the tool 7 is used in that way, this is an important element to make sure we're clear. So I used tool 8 at one point in that because it was decorative. It was a step where I had that ability to use smaller dots. If you have a foundational step, continue to use tool 7. Do not swap it out. And if you're not sure, if you're still learning and growing, just stick to the instructions. We don't want to confuse anybody. So if you're not sure, because the next step coming up will be a foundation step, and it does use tool 7, and we'll stick to using tool 7. So step H uses tool 7 and it is a double. That means it is building outwards and it's going to be building out on these purple lines here. So stick to tool 7, absolutely. We're going to use light purple paint and we're going to dip back into our paint for each of the 2 dots so that they are as close in size as we can get them. They're almost touching here. Now, there's not a whole lot of room to go to the left or right. They just basically fit in there, but we are hoping that the center of them aligns with our middle dot. So join me in adding in this light purple double, reapplying paint, remember, each time, keeping them nice and snug in here to the purple we did a few steps ago. So for step I, we're going to use light purple again in tool 5. It's a foundation dot. It's going to grow out one more step on these purple dots all in succession. They are all a whole row here of purple shades. So you can see where it's going here, aligning with the center. Hop on here and start making these dots when you're all set. Nice big dollops of paint on the tool too. Really nice dots that are on the large side for what's possible with this tool. That's what you're going to want when it's making these foundational type dots. Now for step J, we're going to get some big dots going. But big is only relative here. They'll be the biggest dots in this piece. They still feel tiny compared to working with our set of 7 dotting tools, where we will need tool 1 and peacock blue paint. Stay really focused here on where your dots are being placed. Whenever you've got this kind of shape going on, you've got basically a circle. There's a chance that you could focus where you do not want to. You're either going to be aligning here with your purple dots you just created or your ocean breeze. So we want these peacock dots to be aligned with the purple that we have created. We'll ignore the ocean breeze dots. So let me put on a couple and show you what we're going for. And I want the biggest dots you can muster here with this peacock blue paint. Really nice big dots. There's a chance we may even need to do a couple of adjustments when we get to the upcoming steps, depending on our spacing. So make these nice and big. I know where we're going with this, and we're going to want big dots to make this happen. Really nice big dots. So you can see here they're aligned with the purple that we did in the previous step. So when you're all set, take a moment too with each of these, because this is a really important foundation dot. It's building out, and it's building out quite far from the center. So take a moment and make them as aligned with the middle as you can. So the next step, we will be using tool 1 again and Light Ocean Breeze. And let me just share with you what we're aiming for, because I can see on mine I'm going to need some adjustments after I put on the dots. So we have just made the peacock blue dots that you see here. And we're about to make the bottom layer that you see here. And our goal is for these dots to almost touch. That's why I was encouraging you to make these peacock blue dots really nice and big, because you can see the space here on mine is really quite large. So what I will do is I will put in my Light Ocean Breeze dots in here, and then I'm going to assess what's going on. If I need to make the dots a little bit bigger so they almost connect, I will do what I call double dotting. I'll get more paint on my tool and I will make the dots larger. So this is what we're aiming for. You can see a little bit of space here. So a little bit of space is okay, but we want generally for them to almost touch. Just like a millimeter or two between them is the most we'd want to see happening. So let me go ahead and do mine. Now you may find that you don't have the same situation going on. It's certainly possible too that you also have not enough space. Anytime you don't have enough space, just use a smaller tool and make some adjustments. So the bigger you work out on a piece, whether it be with our set of 7 tools or the set of 8 tools, you still can have adjustments that you need to make as you follow the guide, and that's really the key word. It is just a guide. So I'm going to put my Light Ocean Breeze dot, still focused here on my alignment, and you can see I've got a little bit of space there, so I'm just going to go ahead and put all of my dots in first and see what the results are, and then I can go through and make either the peacock blue dots larger or these Light Ocean Breeze dots a little larger. Either one would be okay to do either process. So I'm going to get these on and then adjust. So you go ahead and start putting these in. This is really the last foundation type dot, and from here on out it will be lots of decoration and making it look even more beautiful and have some ocean elements. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make these peacock blue dots a little bit larger just to fill in the space, and I may go ahead and do that with the Light Ocean Breeze dots too. There, I think that's going to be fine. So I'm going to leave it with that. Let's move on to step L. We're going to bring in some pool blue colors here. The position of this dot is a little bit different perhaps than what you've done so far. If you've been working just for a little while, you may not have encountered this type of design. So we're going to be creating this swirling effect. It's super beautiful. And once you get moving along on it and there's kind of flow in the next couple of steps, it all works magically. So just pay attention to where these dots are going so we get them moving in the right direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to position, I'm going to put one or two on and you just take a look and see what we're doing and then you can join in. So we're taking the pool blue and this pool blue is going to be coming around over top of the peacock blue. So for right now, this one dot is positioned right here. So we've got our peacock blue and here is our ocean breeze. So it's nestled right in there. Let me do another one so you can see. So I move over here to where the next two got our light ocean breeze and peacock blue. And I'm going to tuck that right in there so it almost touches. So if you're working down here at the base, that might be tricky to kind of reverse in your mind what's going on. So just take a look and get these dots going in the same position that I am so that you are seeing and doing the same. Now every once in a while when I teach that to people, they get their swirl that they're going to create going the opposite direction. So no worries if that does happen, but just to be as, aligned with what we're doing to eliminate any issues, do your best to get these happening in the same direction. So you can see I keep moving and finding a pair of peacock blue, light ocean breeze, and putting them right in there. And I just keep turning my piece so my hand is always working up here at the top right now, putting this dot in the same location. There. So there's my last one. You can go ahead and finish yours. And like I said, that's the start of a beautiful pool blue swirl that's going to go around the peacock dots. So for step M, we're going to have the pool blue again. And I'm going to keep working up here at the top so that you can see the relationship to the last dot that we did. And I'd encourage you to still do the same. So here's our peacock blue. Here's our last pool blue. And you can see I've positioned this really close to the pool blue we did in the last step. So it's continuing to kind of move around the peacock blue dot. I turn my piece. There it is on the next one. It's kind of interesting because we're actually moving our piece in this kind of swirl motion, and you'll get, as we go through the next couple of steps, you're going to see a swirl emerge here with your dots too. For step N, we continue the swirl with tool 6. You start over here, and I will keep positioning my piece up here so you can see the progression in the same location as we move around the peacock dot with these pool blue swirls. If you see a dark area here on my piece, this is just a hole that's drilled in my disc that I'm working on. So I just dot right over that space and let the mandala just emerge where it wants to go, even if it means going over top of that hole. So in step O, we're going to complete the pool blue swirl. I'm going to work down here at the bottom now just because it's more comfortable for me and we've got this swirl really figured out. So I'm just going to let this swirl continue around, staying nice and close to the peacock blue dot. However many little dots need to merge to complete the swirl is great. There's no right or wrong, just whatever amount needs to happen in each spot. And wherever you kind of encounter maybe the light ocean breeze dot, wherever you run into something that's already there, just stop. That's your cue to stop. So you can go ahead and join me in adding these on. You might get 3 or 4 or 5. It all depends on how much paint, how much distance you've got to go, how close together the dots you make are placed. So there's no right or wrong. And that completes our pool blue swirl. And then we're going to make one more swirl with shades of ocean breeze and also white in a moment. All right, let's start this swirl that uses white and light ocean breeze. So we're going to need tool 3 and white paint. I'm going to pop back up to working here at the top of my piece just to show you the placement. So this particular white dot, it's quite magical. It's going to position right here with the in line, so to speak, with the pool blue. It should be mostly in line here with our center. If it's a little off, don't worry about it. Keep it nice and snug though to the pool blue that you did a few steps ago. So let me put a couple more on, you can see where it goes. Some may be a little bit more centered than others with the center of the mandala. Don't worry about that too much. And you may be wondering, oh my gosh, I'm going to paint right off the edge of this 3-inch piece. This particular dot is the largest, and it's almost, I think, depending on how big you make your next dot, this will be as far out as you go. The rest of it's just swirling, and you should have plenty of space. If you've got this dot on, you should be good. So what we're doing is we're starting a white swirl that goes around the pool blue swirl. So we're going to take tool 5 and continue that. I'll put my dots up here at the top again so you get the sense of this swirl. So you can see it's nestled in really close to everything that's around it, almost touching each dot that's there. Getting nice big dollops of paint so these are consistent in size for tool 5. The next 2 steps we use tool 6 in white paint. It really doesn't matter which one we do first. You could even do them at the same time if you wanted to. We'll do them in the order for this video that they appear in the instructions. So we'll do the first of the white dots with tool 6, continuing in this direction. Now as I get going around here, I'm going to keep it nice and close to the pool blue dots. So I'm keeping that curve focusing inwards in the design. So you likely figured out this particular piece with the word calm is thinking about calm ocean experiences, with the colors, and this swirl is reminiscent of a wave. For step S, you'll use the same color and tool again, and we're just going to put a dot right in here. Now, if for some reason tool 6 is way too big, just go ahead and use tool 7 or tool 8 even if you need to. But basically this dot in here, let me put one in here, is just going to allow this swerve and curve to start here and extend around. So we just want a little dot nestled in here to complete this effect of the white swirl. And if you need to change tools in one or more areas, that's fine. If it's too squishy, don't force it in there. So let's finish off our bottom layer with step T. We're going to use the lighter Ocean Breeze paint, and we're going to create a set of tapering dots that extend from our white dot here. Here's our swerve. I'm working down at the bottom now. That's just easier for me with a taper. So we're going to want this to go all the way to here. So you can watch me do this. I get a nice dollop on my tool 7. And I just let however many little dots need to emerge come on out to make this swirl effect. Staying nice and close to the pool blue swirl here, keeping it to be an echo in shape, just kind of repeating that flow that we created with the pool blue color. So there we have our bottom layer. Let's take a moment now to let these dots dry or to force them dry with a hair dryer. Now that we have layer 1 dry, let's move along from where we're at to add on layer 2. If this was a starting class, I would get us to leave off the center dot until a little later, till we've had practice, but because we're all intermediate or maybe even a little bit more advanced than that, then we're able to go ahead and do this center dot. So let's give it a go. So step A, we're going to need tool 4. We're going to take peacock blue and add it right into the very center dot, just like that. Beautiful. As you'll see, we don't need to do anything to step B, which was right in here with our lighter purple dot, and set up our set of our 8-point mandala structure. So we're going to move on to step C, where we're going to take light purple, and step C was this first medium shade of purple right in here. We're going to add light purple onto each of those, just very gently. You may find that putting these second layer of dots on with the set of 8 tools takes a little practice. If you find, just like with working with the set of 7 tools, at any time that you are having troubles controlling how much paint you're putting on, just use a smaller tool, no problem. So you always want to be able to see the bottom layer a little bit. You don't want to completely cover it up, so those principles still are in action here with our set of 8 tools in use. Step D is very similar. We've got our medium shade of purple here, and we're going to put light purple on each of those. Now we have 2 shades of Ocean Breeze in a row. We're going to work on the darker of the 2 first. We did that one earlier on in layer 1. We're going to put the lighter Ocean Breeze on top of it. And again, just be mindful, maybe this tool is a little on the large side for you. You might want to switch to tool 4, which is just the opposite end of the same tool in your hand. Is a slightly smaller, a little easier to control, perhaps. Not perhaps, it probably is. Just because it's a little smaller in size. And with working in the small scale, These increments are a little bit smaller between sizes, but they really add up to a large difference in what you're able to do. Let's add a little bit of white paint right in here. This might be a spot where you may decide to use tool 8. Gives you a little bit smaller dot and doesn't affect the structure of the piece. That's the key thing whenever you're deciding here between 7 and 8. Anything you do on the top layer is not going to, or top 2 layers will not affect the building of the piece really. So here we have our next step that we're going to put paint on. Step I, we're going to take our medium shade of purple and add that on top here of our lighter purple. So for the next 2 steps, you're going to be guided to either use tool 2 or you can shrink down and use tool 3. And the first one is going to be our peacock blue. We're going to put our beautiful neon blue on each of those. And then on our light ocean breeze, we are putting our darker shade of ocean breeze. But all my devices going off on me here. Move them out of the way. So for step L, we're going to get some powder blue, so a lighter color blue, and our larger pool blue dot right here is where we're putting that. So out of all of those pool blue dots we did to swirl, this is the largest one that's getting the first second layer dots on it. And then some powder blue going on the next two dots. So now let's add some light ocean breeze to these whites. We're going to start here with our largest white dot and put on some light ocean breeze there with tool 5. And now we take tool 6, and on this dot right beside where we were working, we're going to put a little bit of a light ocean breeze on each of those. And step R is right in line here. We've got this white dot over here. That's step R. We're going to put a little bit of light ocean breeze. You can see it's very fine, detailed work here at this point. All these little details add up to such beauty, though. And the final part for layer 2 is this one other tiny white dot. It's going to get light ocean breeze on there as well, the same tool. Just another small detail. So now let's dry layer 2, and then we will resume so that we can put on the final dots for layer 3. So here is our finished piece with all 3 layers done. Here's where we're at. We have 2 layers complete. We're almost there, and we have just a few things to go here before we are all set. And we have a few steps in this 3rd layer where we do 2 or 3 dots in a row with the same step, so to speak. So we'll talk you through that. So the first one is just like that. So let's take tool 7, and we're going to use white paint and do 3 dots in each section in a row. So what we do is we start with step D, which is right here, and we just come into step C and then step B. So each white dot gets progressively smaller, and it works out quite magically to be basically the right amount of paint. So we're going to repeat that with all 8 sections, just like that. It brings up a beautiful kind of highlight effect to the piece. This top layer goes along quickly, but you can see in the pieces we really lay down the foundations, and then such magic happens as we add on these basically accent and highlight dots to the 3rd layer. Beautiful. Lots of tool 7 work in this layer, so you can have it handy. Just keep wiping it off. There are 1 or 2 steps that use this tool 6, but the rest is tool 7. You actually don't even need to wipe it off. Our next step is going to be the same tool in the same color. We're going to take for step E and put white paint here on these first ocean breeze dots. So this is the one that has the darker ocean breeze on the bottom, lighter ocean breeze next, and then we're going to take tool 7, and right in the center we're going to put a white dot. We want to make sure that white dot is in line with the symmetry of our piece here and in line with the center. And we'll use that tool 7 again in a moment. We will be using a different color next. This is the one spot where we get to use some dark purple. So right here at the end of this purple line of dots, we're going to put dark purple right there with tool 7. Just adds depth. Again, these are small. They are such fine detail work with this set of 8 tools. But all of these details add to the beauty that you are creating with your piece. with our peacock blue dots that we started out here with our bottom layer, on those dots we're going to put light ocean breeze with tool 6. Just a beautiful dot here. Now I'm squeaking out 2 dots before applying paint to my tool. If I go really gentle, you'll see you can get a range of dots as you're probably getting really comfortable with now. I want to make sure you still see each of those bottom layers, the peacock blue and the neon blue. There we go. And then on our other large dots here, we have our light ocean breeze, the medium or the slightly darker ocean breeze right here. And on that, we're going to put peacock blue. Really makes it pop. There we go. Beautiful. For our final dots on the top layer, what we're going to do is that effect we did in here with our white, where we're making 3 dots at a time. And this time we're going to take white dots in tool 7, and here where we started on the bottom layer with the pool blue is where we're going to do 3 dots in succession. 1, 2, and 3. And then you reapply white paint and move on to the next swirl. 1, 2, and 3. Just like that, a beautiful detail to help develop this 3-dimensional look. And then finally we're going to do that again with tool 7, but this time with our darker of the 2 ocean breeze colors. We're going to start here. Our base color was white, And we're starting on the biggest dot and moving to do 3 dots in a row just like that. So here it is again, 1, 2, and 3. So here's the one we just painted through together. Here's our original. And I'll just move the camera, give me a little more space. I'll bring in actually our larger version of the Calm Mandala. And you may decide you want to give the instructions a go with the set of 7 tools as well, which is really super fun to do. So here they are, the camera get a chance to focus. They're just looking absolutely amazing. So thank you all for dotting through this with me. I hope you really enjoy the small tools, or the set of 8 that allows you to make these smaller versions of our designs. Way to go, you did it.